Okay, let's just forget everything you know about standard business case studies. Seriously. What we're doing right now is unlocking the secret playbook of a total maverick, someone who built a massive fast food empire by basically throwing the rulebook out the window.
I mean, can you believe that? That was his actual marketing pitch. The guy who brought McDonald's to Japan literally said eating their food would make people taller with white skin and blonde hair. It's an absolutely wild statement, right? But that, right there, is the unconventional genius of Den Fujita. And believe me, that's just scratching the surface of how he built a multi-billion-dollar empire.
It really makes you think. The biggest risk for most businesses isn't some crazy bad idea. Nope. It's just following the crowd, doing what everyone else does. That's following conventional wisdom right off a cliff. Fujita knew this. He knew it was a one-way ticket to being average, and he absolutely refused to be average. He was playing for total domination.
All right, so let's get to know the man behind that crazy quote. This is Den Fujita. He's the founder of McDonald's Japan, and get this, he also wrote a book that sold over 1 million copies called The Jewish Way of Doing Business. The man was a true original, no doubt about it.
So for Fujita, business wasn't some random game of chance or, just following your gut feeling. He saw it more like the game of Go. In Go, there are these things called dingshi. They're basically the absolute best, proven moves you can make. He believed that if you mastered those optimal plays, you were practically guaranteed to have an edge on your competition.
And that idea of proven moves brings us to his first and probably his most important rule. Now, for Fujita, this wasn't just some clever business tactic. No, no. He believed it was a fundamental law that governed pretty much the entire universe.
And this ratio, 78-22, he saw it literally everywhere. I mean, think about the air we're breathing right now. It's about 78% nitrogen. Our bodies, around 78% water. So for Fujita, it was simple. If this ratio exists in nature, it must exist in business. And for him, this number was the key to, well, everything.
Because, you guessed it, he believed this same natural law applies directly to wealth. He built his entire strategy on this one principle, that 78% of all the money out there is held by just 22% of the people. Okay, so here it is. This is the big takeaway. Stop trying to sell to everybody. It's a waste of time. Fujita's #1 rule of business was to point all of your energy, your marketing, your product, everything straight at that 22% of the population who hold almost 80% of the cash.
All right, so you've got your target, right? That wealthy 22%. But now, what do you actually sell them? Well, Fujita boiled this down to 2 incredibly simple and, frankly, practically foolproof categories. And his logic here, you gotta admit, is pretty solid. First, target women. Why? Because he figured they controlled the household budget. They make the spending decisions. And second, target mouths. It's a biological necessity. People have to eat multiple times a day. You can't get a better recurring revenue model than that.
And this brings us to another one of his core beliefs, and it's a big one. He absolutely hated the idea of thin profit, high volume. He literally called it a strategy for fools. His whole philosophy was built on making a thick profit. He believed that any real bestseller always starts with the rich. It didn't matter if you were selling luxury handbags or a hamburger. The principle was exactly the same.
Okay, quick gut check. Based on everything we just heard from Fujita's playbook, which is the better business model? A super high-end, exclusive restaurant or a cheap, all-you-can-eat buffet? Drop your answer in the comments below. I'm really curious to see what you guys think.
Awesome. While you're thinking about that, let's get practical. Because Fujita wasn't just about big ideas, he had a concrete playbook. And now we're going to break down his core philosophy into some real, actionable steps you can actually use.
So here it is, the core of his playbook, boiled down into 4 key steps. Step 1, defy the experts. Step 2, you have to master the first impression. Step 3, make every contract sacred. And number 4, never forget that cash is king. Now let's see how this actually works in the real world.
Okay, check this out. This is a perfect case study of how he put all this into practice. So the year is 1971. He's about to launch the first McDonald's in Japan. The so-called experts from corporate in America, they all tell him the same thing. Open in the suburbs. That's how we do it in the US. And what did Fujita do? He put his playbook into action. He completely ignored the experts. Instead of some quiet suburb, he opened his very first store right in the middle of Ginza, Japan's most high-end, prestigious luxury district. I mean, think about that contrast. He used the location to completely master the first impression. He made a cheap American hamburger feel like a high-status, aspirational product. It was an absolute masterstroke. And you know, that brilliant move in Ginza, that wasn't just a lucky guess or a one-time thing. His entire career was built on these very same principles. From way back when he was a student importing luxury goods, all the way to becoming the undisputed king of fast food in Japan, the playbook never changed.
I mean, just look at his core rules here. You can see the DNA of his whole strategy. Prioritize cash over credit. A contract is a promise to God. Thin profit is for fools. Bestsellers start with the rich. Target women and mouths. It's all pointing in the exact same direction. Focus on the rich, be unbelievably reliable, and always, always go for that thick profit.
And listen, this isn't just some dusty old business history lesson. His ideas directly inspired the founders of SoftBank and Uniqlo. We're talking about two of the biggest business titans in Asia today. This playbook isn't just theory, it works. The proof is right there.
So I want to leave you with one final question. Looking at this whole playbook, which one of Fujita's rules do you think is the hardest for entrepreneurs to actually follow today? Is it A, targeting only that wealthy 22% and ignoring everyone else? Or is it B, rejecting that whole thin profit model and resisting the urge to sell cheap? Tell me why in the comments. It's a really fascinating question for anyone trying to build something today.